Say what?
Nasılsın?
Uh,
Turkey.
oh, you're from Turkey.
Nasılsın? No, I'm from Afghanistan. Originally.
Maybe I could talk in tongues for a second. Might as well try. What's up, fellas?
What's up, jerk off?
Chilling, man. How you guys doing?
Shut up.
What's up, jerk off?
Bro, don't mind him, bro. He's being a dick to everyone.
My bad, jerk off.
You guys are a good team. I appreciate that.
What's up? Huh?
You guys are a good team. Appreciate the effort. Hey, can I ask you guys a question?
Word.
Yeah, no, let him ask us a question.
That was good.
Do you guys think the universe has always existed, or do you think it started from nothing?
Are you a jerk off?
Wait, what? Say it
You
again.
got some dumbass
Wait, no,
questions.
I want to hear it again. I didn't. Wait. What did he say?
Never mind, I don't have time to talk to jerk offs. Hi. What's up? How you doing? Skip. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing so good. Bro, you're a breath of fresh air. I could tell you're going to be a good conversation.
What?
I said you're a breath of fresh air. I could already tell you're going to be a good conversation.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm not gonna lie, you're about the same for me. I've seen too much cock in the last 30 minutes, and it's about to make me just quit.
I haven't seen any of those, but I did see someone doing some under the covers, which obviously was,
Yeah. I've seen under the covers. I've seen straight dick hanging out. I'll tell you what, about 45 minutes ago, I saw this gentleman who was in the hospital. I mean, had an IV in his arm and had his dick hanging out the gown, bro. I said, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, the internet, man. It's a crazy place. What's your name?
Mason, how about you?
Mason? You look and sound like you'd be a Mason. It's nice to meet you, man. My name's Dom.
Nice to meet you as well. Like Dominic?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Heard.
Most people.
Is it short for something else?
No, it's just Dominic. Most people just
Heard.
call me Dom. Most people under 30 call me Dom.
Well, I'm under 30, but I'll call you Dominic just because it's a Toretto. That's where I get it. It's the only reference I can make for it.
All right, man. Well, hey, I got a question for you. I was wondering if you could answer it.
Go ahead.
All right, Mason. Do you think that the universe has always existed? Or do you think it started from nothing?
I don't think either of those are 100% true.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that the universe has just always been, and I also don't think that the universe started from nothing, because
you're about
nothing
to give me
comes
the
from
right
nothing.
answer. It's because it was a trick question. Both of those true or false. So tell me, what's the right answer?
Well, I can't tell you exactly what started everything, because I mean, there's the aspect of religion, and then there's the aspect of physics, and
I'm asking
and
you for
it's-
your opinion. Don't dilute the answer.
I think that whatever the Big Bang is the creation of everything. Now, what caused said Big Bang, I'm not sure of.
Okay, so something caused the Big Bang.
Right.
And that's completely scientific. Science says
Yeah.
everything that has a beginning has to have a cause.
Mhm.
So you're saying the universe does have a beginning. It was
Yeah. 100%.
So then what do you think the universe is? How would you define it? How would you quantify the universe?
That's a tough question, man. Like,
Well,
in
what
what
do we
realm?
observe?
I
What
mean, like-
is it that is observable? Because that's what the universe is. It's just everything that's observable. So
yeah,
what is it that we could observe?
stars,
Okay, there's energy,
galaxy.
mass.
I mean, anything fathomable and physical.
Okay. So stars, you got you got matter and energy in those.
Yeah.
But what about those other things like time?
No, time's relative and it's man-made.
It is
not time itself is man-made, but the concept of time is man-made.
How we measure time is man-made, and you could then say that is arbitrary, but it's still something that's observable. We observe time passing, right?
Yeah.
And when you say it's relative, well, it's not to say it doesn't exist. It just means that it progresses differently in different spaces according to gravity and also the speed at which something is going.
Correct, yeah.
But it still exists.
Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't exist by any means. I'm just saying it's a relative
but
subject.
Time does exist. So then we still have time. But then what about where all of this exists in? You also have space, right?
Yeah.
So we have time, space, matter, and energy. But what about the fact that it's been incredibly fine-tuned when you consider, hey, what's up, buddy? The gravitational constant, or even like the speed of light, or the expansion rate of the universe. If any one of these are off by even a trillionth of a trillionth, well, then the universe could not continue to exist. So it's been incredibly fine-tuned. And it's something that, well, we also observe that life now exists within. And science is clear on that. This is you have the law of spontaneous generation. This is that life can't come from non-life, because that'd be spontaneous generation, which science is impossible. So what we could observe, I know, well, you brought up religion, but when we consider the universe did have a beginning, and whatever created it, well, then would have to exist outside of time because it created time. Is it made up of, it doesn't exist within space because it created space? Is it made up of matter because it created matter, so it's immaterial, created all the energy that we observe?
What's to say that it created any, well, yes, maybe the universe as an observable thing could have been created, but what's to say that it created time and matter if those things could have already existed? I mean, time wouldn't have just started when our universe was created.
All right, good question. So then you're left with still a paradox, because then you have an infinite amount of time and then matter existing within that time. So then you still are left with that first question I asked you of, well, has the universe always existed? Because let me tell you something, matter can't exist unless it has a space to exist in. So space still has to exist. And well, the first law of thermodynamics is that energy and matter cannot be created or destroyed. They're only interchangeable between each other. They're basically the same thing, acting in different ways. So the universe, you're still left with the entire universe.
That leads you to believe then that the universe wasn't just poofed into existence, that it was recycled matter turned into something else.
But then you're still left with an infinite amount of days before today. And let me tell you why that's a paradox, because then it's just recycling itself over and over again. But if the universe has always existed, that would mean there's been an infinite amount of days before today, or even an infinite amount of time or moments. And if that's the case, you still have a paradox, because you have what's called, science calls an infinite regress. Because then basically, well, we could never have even reached, if there has been an infinite amount of time before right now, then we could never actually reach right now, because there'd always be one more moment before this moment, pushing the moment that we're in infinitely further forward, and we can never actually reach this moment. You still have a paradox.
I feel slightly like we're grasping at straws there.
All scientific, man.
So you're saying that if time had, if the universe had always existed, because at that point time would have always existed, and the state would always be going, that because of that, we would never be able to reach the moment we're in.
If it's always existed infinitely, yeah. Because an infinite regress is basically there's always one more thing before the thing that was. I mean, okay. If we're in a moment, and there's always been a moment before the moment that we're in, going infinitely, then there's always a moment before the moment that was before the moment that was the moment that was before the moment that we're in, the moment going infinitely back. It's an infinite regress. Science says that's impossible.
So why would it be any different in our current state? If every moment before this would continuously keep you from reaching the next.
Only if it's existed infinitely. Unless it had a beginning.
Correct, yeah. So I'm not, like I said, I don't believe that it started from nothing, and I don't think it's always existed. But what if matter, the matter that our universe is consists of, is still recycled matter? How would that apply to time having an infinite base? Because that would still mean that our universe was started at some point. There is still a beginning, but that doesn't mean that the matter itself is not infinite. Because like you said, it can't just be created or destroyed.
Well, we talked about the first law of thermodynamics, but then there's still the second and third. Both would really poke holes in that. I mean, when you consider the how the universe is, or everything is always heading towards a state of chaos, not order, and we see perfect order in our universe. Mm-hmm. And we also see, different hot spots or different areas where energy exists in the universe. And the third law of thermodynamics is that no, it would be an equilibrium of everything kind of equaling out. And if it's existed in an infinite state, well, then it wouldn't exist in the manner that it does right now.
Why if it was an existent in an infinite state, what keeps it from existing in its current state?
Well, it wouldn't exist in the way we see it because of the laws of thermodynamics. And when you consider what an equilibrium is, well, you have spots where there's lots of energy and spots where there's none. And the third law of thermodynamics says that that's not how it would exist. And even when you consider, there's more laws of thermodynamics that it's where energy is always, it can't be recycled. It's always going towards a state of unusability, or it that literally defeats the laws of thermodynamics. It's a total contradiction to the laws of the universe. But if we're going to what the universe is,
research on that topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I would encourage you to. But those things, matter just can't exist by itself without the other attributes of the universe that we observe, because matter still needs to exist in a place, which would be space.
Yeah.
So it has to exist somewhere, but also has to exist at some point in time, which would be then time. So let's just go off these attributes of the universe, because whatever created it exists outside of time. That means by definition it's eternal.
Yeah.
If it created space, it doesn't exist within space. That means it exists. Maybe you could argue another dimension, but dimensions are all still space. So, or it exists outside of all of these. So it doesn't exist within our universe or dimension or any other dimension. So then if it also created matter, well, then it's also then something that's immaterial. And if matter is interchangeable between energy, it's not made of matter or energy. There's only one thing that's left from that. And if it also created all the energy in the universe, whatever created it would have to be more powerful than everything that it created. And also going with that other attribute that we observe, if life now exists in the universe, and science says that life can come from non-life, whatever created it also has to then be something that's living. Now, we're describing something. Have you picked up on it yet?
God.
Yeah, that's the definition for God, is an all-powerful, eternal, all-knowing creator. Because also, if he fine-tuned it to the degree that he has to be pretty intelligent. So the universe itself is evidence of a creator. I mean, we live in a creation. A creation means there has to be a creator. And just like no painting could paint itself or no building could build itself, the very thing that we live in is evidence for the God that created it. And that would mean that whoever God is, he'd have to fit those attributes. And if he exists outside of time, well, the fourth dimension, or even when you go past the third dimension, the fourth dimension, you could see the very end from the very beginning. You could see all time at once. That would mean that the God of the universe would be able to tell you what the future is with 100% accuracy and would never be wrong. Do you know of any God in any religious book that does that with 100% accuracy?
No.
Well, can you take a guess?
Are you trying to shoot for the Bible?
Do you think the Bible does that?
No.
Really? Because the Bible is the only book that actually does do that. 27% of the Bible is just prophecy, and it never gets it wrong once.
Give me an example.
Sure. So the crucifixion of Jesus, that was actually prophesied 1,000 years before it happened. In Psalms 22, where it then prophesied that Jesus would be crucified, his hands and his feet would be pierced, that his clothes would be gambled over, he'd be surrounded by Roman soldiers and Gentiles. It even predicted the exact words that he would say when he was on the cross. And when you go with that timeline of 1,000 years before the crucifixion, that was actually 650 years before crucifixion was even invented as a means of capital punishment. And that's just one. I mean, you could also consider others, like the fall of the city of Tyre, where it was predicted that the city would be overthrown. And it also said which nation would overthrow. It would be the nation of Greece, which did happen by King Alexander. And it said that every stone of the city of Tyre, because the city of Tyre was a coastal city, had its main city, and then it had an island fortress. And whenever people tried to create a siege against the city, well, the people would just go out to the island fortress and they would have their boats and they would go get resources from everywhere else. And nobody was ever able to overthrow the city. But the Bible gave a prophecy that said that, well, the person who would overthrow the city would scrape up the stones from the city, throw it into the ocean, create a causeway where they would then just go overthrow that island fortress. And that causeway would be a rich fishery where fishermen would dry their nets forevermore and the city would never be rebuilt. Exactly as it happened. Or even the fall of Babylon. The Bible actually predicted 100 years before it happened. It said who would do it and gave the person by name was King Cyrus. And it said that the way the city would be overthrown, it'd be overthrown in a single night while the people of the city would be partying and drinking. But it said that the waters would be diverted because, of course, there was this great wall all around the city, but there was a river going underneath one of these walls. Well, King Cyrus, he created a dam and diverted the waters. They went underneath the walls, just as the prophecy said, and they overthrew the city in a single night, just as the prophecy said, and while they were partying and drinking. You could read that in the book of Daniel. Very clear. Or you have, of course, man, there's so many. There's actually 303 prophecies given about Jesus, which he fulfilled every single one of them to a T. He fulfilled them perfectly. And there was actually once a famous mathematician who just predicted the likelihood of only one man fulfilling just 8 of these prophecies. And it was actually 1 times 10 to the 17th power, or with 1 with 17 zeros after it. Just fulfilling 8. Remember, he filled 303. So that means, well, whenever you're calculating probability, you have to multiply the improbability of one times the improbability of another. So when you have 303 and you multiply the improbability of all of those, well, you're actually left with a number that's greater than the amount of atoms in the entire universe. It basically, for one man to fulfill all these prophecies, it would literally be like, say you put a blindfold on and then you pick at random the same exact atom in all of the universe, a single atom, the same atom 3 times in a row. That is the likelihood of one man fulfilling all of these prophecies. So yeah, the Bible does predict the future, and it does it with 100% accuracy. Even things that are happening nowadays, wars that we see, or Russia going to war with Ukraine, prophesied Ezekiel 38, and Israel at that same time, then Israel would go to war with Iran, and all the world would turn against Israel, prophesied in Ezekiel 39. So, I mean, yeah, I'd say the Bible does a pretty good job of predicting the future.
Are you a preacher?
Maybe.
Historian? Preacher?
Why not both? I think.
I mean, you are.
I think any good
definition.
preacher has to be a good historian, because I'm just studying
That's
history.
right. By definition, you have to be both.
Yeah. Good job, man.
It was a good conversation, man. I appreciate it.
Well, hey, so what are you left with? I mean, do you believe in the Bible?
I have my own life experiences that it's not that I don't. I believe that there is a creator. But I don't think that anyone's got it right with 100% accurate. Not saying that what you're saying isn't true. I'm saying that in my own experience, I don't think any one religion has it 100% right. And I've done a little bit of my own research in different aspects of that, but with my own life experience, I've just had really negative experiences with a lot of Baptists and Christians and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But no, I 100%, like I pray. Do I 100% know what I pray to? I can't say that I do, but I believe that there is more to this life than perceivable by eye.
Well, that's great, man. Yeah, actually, that's what the Bible even tells you to do. It says, test all things and hold fast to that which is true. I myself, I wasn't always a Christian. I was once exactly as you're saying. I was once omnistic. I believe all religions held a seed of truth, and I studied all religions. But if two things are contradicting each other, well, they can't both be true. Either they're both wrong, or only one is right.
Yeah.
If all the other religions are contradicting each other, well, then you have to go with what the evidence says. So of all the religions, you have to go with one that has evidence. And there's only one that has evidence. And like I said, I've studied it, and I respect that. Actually, I appreciate. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And then that's why I've studied what I have studied so much, because I came full circle and realized, well, that's the only one that does have any evidence.
Yeah, I'd have to definitely do my own research on that, but I don't disagree with you under any light. Right. I think that you're onto something, and that you if you are a preacher, which I think you just said you are, you do a really good job at preaching your message, I will say.
All right.
Well, you find a really good way of intriguing the mind.
Well, good. I'm glad, man. But let's just say for a moment that let's just suspend our doubts, or maybe go with a hypothetical here. Let's say hypothetically, Christianity is true. And that means there is a heaven and a hell.
Yeah.
Mason, do you think you would go to heaven?
I don't know. I've done bad and I've done good. I think that at the end of the day, I've done my hardest to be a good-hearted and caring person, but I've definitely done negative.
Yeah, we all have. Well, let's just go by God's moral law. I mean, we have the 10 Commandments, right? That is God's perfect moral law. Do you want to go over maybe just a few of those commandments, and we could see maybe how you would stand in judgment? Okay. Have you ever taken the Lord's name in vain?
100%.
Okay. Have you always honored your mother and father? Or have you ever dishonored them?
Dishonored, I can't say that I have.
Really? You never got mad at them? You've always obeyed them? You never talked back to them? You always...
It depends. I guess the definition of dishonored. So, I mean, I've definitely disobeyed, and I've definitely been upset.
Like you said, man, no one's perfect.
That one's touchy. My mother passed when I was 11 years old, and my dad was never around. So, that one's kind of, not saying I've intentionally. What's that?
What about grandparents? Were you raised by
my grandparents? I was raised by my grandmother. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we could. Same thing. I mean, she's still considered biblically a mother of yours.
Yeah.
Have you ever talked back to her or disobeyed her or anything
100%.
like that? Okay.
100%.
So then, have you ever committed adultery?
100%.
Okay. Have you ever
I
stolen?
know how this squares up. I've done it.
Okay. Well, have you ever stolen anything?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. Have you ever told a lie?
Yeah. Who hasn't?
You're right, man. We all have. Have you ever been jealous of anybody?
Loosely.
All right. So now you've already told me you're a blasphemer, a thief, an adulterer. You've dishonored your mother and father. I mean, if we were judging by God's moral law, I mean, you're a lawbreaker just like the rest of us, right?
Yeah.
So then if there is a heaven and hell, you're saying, well, you've done a lot of good things. But if God is a righteous judge or a just judge and justice needs to be served, Mason, would you be going to heaven or hell?
I mean, by the book's definition, I'd be going to hell.
Okay. Yeah, that worries me, man, because like I said, I know you probably don't believe me, but bro, I freaking love you, brother. I actually
like I said earlier, man.
Well, what I'm
like
trying
I said earlier, it's not that I disagree with you and not that I don't believe what you're saying or hear what you're saying at the least. Maybe, my belief system works a little differently. But
no, I get that. Like I said, we're suspending that for a moment because we're just thinking hypothetically if this were true. Okay. Now, if you did, the Bible is clear. It says that the wages of sin or what we earn for our sin is death, but it's not talking about a regular death. It's talking about an eternal death. And by eternal death, I mean a separation from the actual source of life, who's not just a source of life, but he's a source of love and joy and peace and happiness and pleasure and fun and everything that's good in the universe. To be cut out from that for all eternity, then experiences wrath forever because we rejected him. That's hell. That's what we all deserve is hell. So if we deserve an eternal death, well, what did Jesus Christ do on the cross?
Bared the weight of everyone's sins.
Yeah. And the Bible is clear. It says that Jesus was God in the flesh, that God humbled himself. He took on the body of flesh and dwelt amongst men. So if we owe an eternal death, then on the cross was the death of the eternal. He actually took that punishment that you owe upon himself. And the Bible says when he did that, he did it as a propitiation to be received by faith. That word propitiation, it's just a fancy word that means he swapped places with you. He took your place, but then he lets you receive his place. He lets you actually receive his righteousness because he says the only way to go to heaven is to be perfect. Like our Heavenly Father is perfect, that means no one could get to heaven. But if he actually lets us receive his place, he was the only one who ever was. He wasn't just perfect, but he was righteous. He was the one who raised the dead back to life. He's the one who gave sight to the blind. He was the one who healed the lame and the crippled to let him walk again. He restored the lepers, giving them back ears and noses and body parts that had fallen off. I mean, he was the one, he fed crowds of thousands, just a few fishes and a few loaves. That means everything that he did, you could get credit for it. And it's not just that, but he was Jesus. He was not just God in the flesh. God is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. He was the Son. That means now you could be seen as a son of God. That's why it says in John 1:12, it says, to all those who received him, now they have the power to be called children of God. And now you could be a co-heir with Christ. You could inherit the kingdom of heaven, which belonged to Jesus, but he lets you receive that. That's what grace is. Grace is a free gift. And he offers that to you. And man, I could go deep into apologetics and just show to you like how the Bible could be proven. The Word of God is the only, I told you, the reason why I came to Christianity is it's the only thing that has any evidence. And man, this is such a good gift. That's why it's called, what I just shared with you is called the gospel. The word gospel just means good news. And this is the best news that anybody could ever hear. And I'm glad I got to share it with you, but it means nothing if it's not true. Do you want to know how you can know if it's true or not?
Sure.
Okay. Because Paul writes, if Jesus Christ didn't really rise from the dead, then I'm basically a fool. I'm the most to be pitied in all the world because I'm believing in vain in something. I believe something that's not true. I'm basing my life on something that's not true.
Yeah.
So the way we could know it's true, same thing you would hold up anything in the court of law. I mean, you have eyewitness testimony of people who saw Jesus actually rise from the dead. And all of those people were willing to die for their testimony. They refused just to recant it. They refused to say it wasn't true. And they all died terrible, agonizing deaths because of it. And the New Testament speaks of over 620 of these eyewitnesses. And the thing about eyewitness testimony is nobody's ever willing to die for something that they know is a lie. I mean, some people might die for something if they don't know it's not true, but nobody's ever willing to die for something that they know isn't true, and they all would have been in a position to know with whether they're saying is true or not. And the fact that they all were willing to die for it is already incredibly powerful testimony. I mean, some of them were beheaded, some were crucified themselves, even crucified upside down. Some were thrown in vats of boiling oil, although he's the only one who lived miraculously. Some were drawn and quartered. Some were thrown in Roman colosseums. Some were turned into Roman candles or human torches, basically, where they're used just to light the courts of Rome. All of whom didn't have to die. All they had to do was say it wasn't true. And some of those people were even Jesus' own siblings. James and Jude, they didn't believe in Jesus until they actually saw him rise from the dead. They thought their brother was a lunatic. And I don't know if you have siblings, but the thing about that is, well, if you do, you could recognize your brother or your sister in a crowd in a moment. You could recognize them by their voice with blindfolded. And they saw who they knew was their brother who had come back to life from the dead. So, of course, you have the eyewitness testimony. We already talked about the prophecy, which, I mean, think about that, man. Picking the same atom in the entire universe 3 times in a row blindfolded, how the Bible accurately predicts these things. It is so improbable. It is 100% impossible.
Where do you preach?
I preach at a church. It's called Legacy Church.
What state?
New Mexico.
New Mexico?
Yep.
Okay. I might try, see if I can swing it over there, buddy.
You live close by?
I live in Texas, but I do travel.
All right. Yeah, we got, I think we're at 10 different campuses now, so.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
Well, what do you think about what I just shared with you, though?
I think that, like I said earlier, you're really good at preaching your message, man. And I have my own personal belief system, and it's not that you haven't swayed it in any way. It's just, it's a lot to talk about at midnight. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, maybe you could share some of what you believe with me. I'd love to hear it. I said, I think I probably believe something similar at one point.
I believe you do. I'm not really up for it right now, man. I'll be honest with you. I have enjoyed listening to you, and I appreciate your opinions.
All right.
And I